Fintech Australia and Tier 1 People present the 2022 People's Choice Awards. The Finnies Award, where the Australian fintech community gets to decide the winner. Make sure to join us on the 23rd of June 2022 in Melbourne for the industry's most prestigious awards event. Now, here are a few words from one of this year's finalists.
Hi, I'm James Fuller. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Hnry, and we are fully automating accounting for the self-employed.
Hnry are finalists in the People's Choice Fintech of the Year 2022. James, congrats to you and Hnry for making it to the finals of People's Choice, the award that the fintech community gets to decide on. How are you all feeling at Hnry on making the finals?
Oh, we're absolutely thrilled. It's just such an exciting thing for us, having seen so many great finalists over the last few years to be in the running ourselves. It's just amazing.
Yeah, look, this is the third year we've done this competition, and every year I keep saying this, the competition just gets tougher and tougher and tougher. So it's well done to everybody on being in with such an esteemed group of finalists. Well, for those of our listeners who don't know Hnry, what is the big problem that you guys solve?
It's a problem that's been kind of talked about for a number of years, which is automated accounting. The accounting industry in general has sort of seen this coming, but no one's ever really gone out there and done it. And so what Hnry does is fully automates tax, payments and compliance for sole traders and the self-employed. So it very much is a world first.
Awesome. Now, in the past, we'd have been talking about, I guess, plumbers, bricklayers, people who maybe worked in the media or the arts and creative industries. But we've seen this massive shift. What was the kind of, I guess, the idea behind putting Hnry together, and what were the things that you could see that were happening that made you feel this was a big opportunity?
Well, actually, what you've just described is essentially what happened to myself and my co-founder about sort of 5-6 years ago. We'd always been salaried members of staff. We'd never thought about being self-employed, never thought about being contractors. And just around the same time as each other, both picked up contract roles. And just, I don't know if you've ever done a contract role or whether the listeners have ever done a contract role, but the amount of admin is unbelievable. You've got to go and find an old school accountant. You've got to learn how to use enterprise accounting software, spend your weekends reconciling transactions. It's so much hassle that you have to take on. And really all you want to do is the work. No one wants to do tax. No one wants to do the admin, but it's like a necessary evil. And so when we started out as contractors, we were just absolutely blown away. We just thought, how have people been doing this for so long? And so we, right back in the day, created a couple of spreadsheets to make our lives easier. And we said, how do we work out how much money we should actually be saving for tax, or how much is actually ours and how much is the tax man? And we thought we were just, we just thought we were the dumb ones. Like, everyone's obviously got this problem sorted out. We'll just make some spreadsheets for ourselves. And it was only really when we told some friends and they told some friends that people kept coming to us and they said, look, we've got to get on your spreadsheets. And we were astounded that no one had ever solved this problem before. So, yeah, we started off about 4 or 5 years ago with a one-page website and $100 Twitter ad campaign that said, we pay your taxes. And yeah, we sort of bootstrapped a service that effectively took all of the admin out of being self-employed. So you can actually focus on getting the job done rather than having to worry about payments or reconciliations or software and those sorts of things. So basically, Hnry combines together all of your accounting, all of your payments, all of your software and tools, all in one place on a pay-as-you-go basis, which means fair pricing. It means everyone can get access to, as you would call it, the sort of project-based economy. And so now we support tens of thousands of sole traders across Australia and New Zealand. And that ranges from gig economy workers, freelancers, tradies, white collar contractors, real estate, you name it, we support it. It's been fantastic to see how many people we can help with this business.
What an amazing story. It's amazing how many businesses start with an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah. Oh wow, Excel spreadsheet and a couple of macros in that Excel
Yeah.
spreadsheet. That was the pinnacle for a while. I mean, we bootstrapped the business just entirely on those spreadsheets. So for quite a while, sort of 4 years ago, it was every time a user signed up, they had to. So they had to print out, sign, scan, and return 2 different bits of documentation just to get access to the platform. And the one-page website we put together, it was just a bunch of simple forms. And anytime someone signed up there, we got an email that said someone signed up, and we would copy and paste them into our spreadsheet behind the scenes. And anytime a payment came in, we'd copy and paste into internet banking, which seems a far cry from today, where we're transacting maybe $650-700 million annualized through our accounts on behalf of our customers. And yeah, I can tell you now, I'm glad it's not me copying and pasting into internet banking every day anymore.
Awesome. So you've talked there a little bit about some of the numbers. When did you start to really get some scale into the platform? And
I'd say it was probably a couple of years ago. I'd say sort of 2020. We kind of probably sort of early 2020. We partially potentially helped by COVID. We saw a big shift in the number of people who really started to get interested in taking the opportunity to work independently. And traditionally, there's never been a good way to start earning independently, either alongside a salary job or as a full-time independent earner. And we just saw sign-ups skyrocket. People just really wanted to have the opportunity to take control over how, when, and from whom they earn an income. And since then, we've just seen things fly. We've got a huge amount of customer advocacy, got a 40% referral rate. We've really cottoned onto something in the market, which I think a lot of even sort of entrepreneurs on their sort of starting out with their early ventures will understand, which is you've got to have the time to focus on the business and not have to focus on the admin. And that's what we provide the opportunity for. And so the last couple of years, we've just seen things go from strength to strength. And I think we've seen sort of last 18 months, we've seen about 600% growth of the business, which has just been amazing to see.
Fantastic. Now, I mean, when you consider as well, the model that you've got, effectively B2C, it's a really difficult model to get any scale, here in Australia. How have you gone about, I guess, kind of making the business, one, being able to scale and get those numbers, but two, kind of be able to be profitable as well?
Oh, it's for us, the key is automation. So, whilst we started from humble beginnings where everything was done manually, we've really over the last few years built out a significant amount of automation behind what we do, whether that's fully automating the reconciliation process, automating the tax lodgement process, providing kind of expert support is part of what we do. And so really the sort of the key thing for us was presenting a scalable platform that could succeed both in Australia as well as overseas in New Zealand. And so it's been an exciting few years to actually push the boundaries of what's possible from a technical perspective, and actually to look at a market where, there hasn't been a predecessor to this. There isn't an all-in-one service that pays and files all of your taxes. Like that just doesn't exist. And so coming into a market from the side, I mean, we're not accountants. I'm not an accountant. I've got a technology background, and my co-founder has more kind of a legal and finance background, but neither of us are accountants. And so when you take a slant into an industry that is, to their own admission, relatively sleepy, there's not been much innovation in that space for a good 10, 15 years. Taking an outside view allows you to really push the boundaries of what's possible and to automate things that people haven't thought about automating before. So it's been, for us, getting that scale, getting that sort of the sort of huge customer growth has really been down to automating the right things and providing excellence in customer experience, such that we do get high referral rates from people whose lives are forever changed by the fact that they don't have to worry about admin anymore.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, we've heard a lot about the Great Resignation, one of the big themes around talent and challenges. What kind of plans have you got for international growth, given that, this shift that we've talked about isn't just here in Oz, but we're seeing it across the world?
Yeah, it's a huge thing globally, and I think we've seen probably in the last 5-10 years not just the Great Resignation, but also just the changing nature of work.
Yeah.
That people want more flexibility, they want more independence, and the problem that we solve is a global one. There is no one out there who is solving the problem in the same way that Hnry does, and so for us, we've always got an eye on international expansion. There's always going to be an opportunity to do that, but we also know that closer to home, there's a huge amount of opportunity to help the locals, the Aussie battlers, the tradies, the freelancers, those people who've been forgotten by the financial services industry for so many years. And the kind of work that we do, extends beyond just, we can pay and lodge your taxes for you. We're now getting into how do we support people getting loans, home loans and financing? Right. How do we kind of help the self-employed get back on the financial services ladder, so that there's actually never in the future going to be a stigma between whether you're a sort of salaried member of staff or whether you have more flexible working arrangements. So that's really the goal here, is that people shouldn't be penalized or marginalized because they happen to enjoy independent earning. They should be empowered and they should be rewarded for the work that they do, and should have the same sort of the same kind of sense of freedom that not having to worry about admin that you do if you're a salaried staff member somewhere.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, James. I mean, it's been one of the kind of biggest criticisms I've had of fintech in general over the last 5 years is that we haven't seen any innovation, particularly around the credit models. And I've made exactly the point that you have, is that the way that we're working has changed forever. And if you're going to base your credit risk model on somebody who's got a steady job at CBA for the last 15, 20 years, guess what? It's not going to be that steady in the next 5 years.
No. And look, we saw it in the last couple of years that you're only, as a salaried member of staff, you're only one restructure away from being out. There is no certainty. There's no such thing as a permanent job anymore. And what we've seen in the last 2-3 years is people have started to look at their earning patterns and say, well, actually, I've probably put all my eggs in one basket by earning from a single source. And actually, potentially, I need to diversify my revenue streams in the same way I diversify an investment portfolio, because I'm too heavily indexed towards one employer. And so what we see is a lot of people who actually say, well, maybe I will get a little side hustle, or maybe I will start to take on some clients and do consulting work or freelance work or whatever that might be. And that's just a way of people de-risking the way that they earn, which is just so aligned with, the way that the future of work is heading. And I think, the sort of sense of security is no longer about having tenure at one organization for 15 years. The sense of security is about being secure in yourself, that you can be financially stable.
Awesome. Now, we've talked a little bit about the external talent force. What about the talent force at Hnry? First of all, how many people are in the business now?
We are now, I think we hired our 60th member of staff yesterday.
Wow.
So from 2 co-founders unpaid 4 years ago, we're now 60 staff.
Awesome. Now, obviously, one of the biggest challenges for any founder is hiring the right talent for fintech. It's very unique. It's got its own set of challenges that I don't think you get in other startups. How have you gone about bringing in the people that have been able to help you scale this business?
I think right from the very beginning, we've been really deliberate about 2 things. The first of which is being really deliberate about culture. So we're a real sort of culture-driven business. Everyone who works here has very much bought into the mission that we're on, which is making it simple, affordable, accessible for anyone to take advantage of independent earning. And so most of our staff here have had some connection with it. They've had friends or parents, or maybe themselves have been self-employed. So they intimately understand the problem that we're solving and the pain we solve for our customers. And then we also have a mantra that, we're not hiring an army here. We're hiring Navy SEALs. So we hire people who are top of their game, who are highly motivated and driven, and they want to come in and really be additive to a business. And so whilst that means that we spend slightly longer hiring people, for us, it's not about putting bums on seats. It's about getting the real talent into the business who are going to drive this forward in the long term. And that's really worked well for us. It's, some people say that it's quite a hard place to get into, but once you're in, people are so passionate about what we do and they're so driven to help people and genuinely solving a problem that you see causes so much kind of anxiety and mental anguish for so many millions of people. Being able to be part of a solution to that problem is something that drives so many of our staff here.
How have you been able to take advantage of, the very trends that you've seen kind of have a positive impact on your business, certainly kind of revenue and users wise, as in remote working, and kind of harness that to help scale the Hnry business?
Well, it's an interesting one. I think that a lot of people, it doesn't necessarily have to be kind of a binary choice of I'm going to be remote or I'm going to be local. There's so much flexibility there. And I think the key thing for us is providing people with options. And it's something that people haven't had for any length of time when they're self-employed is actual options. You know, there are many ways that you can get paid. There are many ways that you can deliver your work. And the problem that people have always had is they've either been pigeonholed as now you have to go and be a sort of in-person worker, or you have to be remote full-time. And actually with something like Hnry, there's so much flexibility. We have people who are doing so many multiples of jobs at once in that sort of in that kind of the vibrant independent economy. So you've got real estate agents who are driving Uber. You've got, you know, freelancers who might do graphic design, or they might do some web work, or they might even kind of write children's books. But the thing that's always prohibited them from doing so before Hnry was actually the level of complexity required to manage all of that admin, manage multiple income streams, manage multiple platforms paying out and the taxes associated. Whereas actually the fact that people all get paid via Hnry, there is one single place where they can direct all their income sources to, and they know that all of their taxes are getting paid and lodged exactly right. So it leaves them up to date continually, which means they can come into and out of self-employment anytime that they like, and they know that there's none of that legacy sort of tax issues following them around as they go between different jobs. And I think that's the thing that's been really beneficial for anyone using Hnry, is that sheer sense of freedom and opportunity that replaces what has been the kind of the feeling of the self-employed, which has always been about, you know, being very unsure and having to be quite specific and very specialized, rather than looking at the broad sets of things they could be doing and saying, well, why not? Why don't I do 2-3 different types of income all at once?
Have you been able to use your customers as a source of talent as well? Sounds like you got to go.
Actually, we do employ a number of our customers on contract. So we have, I think our graphic designer is a Hnry customer, our videographer is a Hnry customer. We have content writers who are Hnry customers.
Fantastic.
So we're very much, we believe in, you know, yes, we have kind of 60 full-time staff here, but we also very much believe in the independent economy. So we actually feed back into that, and we do employ our own users as app developers when we need additional capacity. So that's always something that everyone really enjoys, is when they're a Hnry customer themselves and they can actually feed into the platform that they love using, and they can see something that they use every day and say, well, actually, I did that, or I was part of the team that delivered that.
Well, James, we're coming up to a wrap up, and in a couple of moments, I'm going to ask you to give your pitch as to why the fintech community should consider voting for Hnry. But before we do that, like when you look over this last 12 months, what would you say has been your proudest achievement?
I think for us, our proudest achievement is actually the recognition of our customers. In Australia, it's a busy market. It's something that is always quite difficult. Like you were saying, in a B2C space, there's a lot of noise. But I think one of our proudest moments is actually one of our directors was out at a comedy club in Sydney, and there was a comedian on stage who was doing a bit complaining about tax, complaining about the complexities of it, and sort of complaining about the fact that they found it too much hassle. And they actually got heckled by a member of the audience who just shouted, "What about Hnry?" And that's one of my proudest moments, is knowing that a comedian got heckled about Hnry in Sydney. And I mean, obviously, nomination for the Finnies is one thing, but knowing that people are heckling comedians, that takes the cake, I think.
Kudos to you guys. That's awesome. Right. Well, we're going to kind of give you the opportunity to pitch Hnry. So in your own time, James, when you're ready, why should people vote for Hnry as People's Choice Fintech of the Year?
Well, Hnry's doing so much good. Hnry's doing good for fintech, and it's doing good for the general public. And for us, we always look at it, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, that the fintech industry has been looking at tax automation for many years. Some of the accounting software companies have talked about doing it and have never got close to doing it. Hnry is a fintech that is actually doing it. We have done it. We have automated tax for the self-employed. We also provide a service alongside it. So it's generally disrupting the traditional market of accounting and finance. And that's something that's truly exciting, doing a world's first service that provides genuine social good, that allows people to earn flexibly, giving everyone the opportunity to to earn independently without any of the kind of pain and anxiety that's traditionally gone along with it. So when we talk about kind of what value Hnry provides, we always say, look, it's good for fintech. It's good for technology in general with the boundaries we're pushing in terms of automation and ML. And then it's also great for the government. This is a great thing for Australia in general, that actually we are feeding money to the government on a regular basis that they probably wouldn't have got access to themselves. So sometimes we might be even reg tech or gov tech or fintech. We're spanning so many categories, but underpinning it all is a real desire to change the lives of people who are struggling in self-employment. They are frustrated and they've been underserved by the market. And so bringing genuine disruption into the accounting industry is something that is incredibly, incredibly proud for us.
The People's Choice Award is brought to you by Tier 1 People, leaders in fintech executive search. We'll help you launch, scale, and innovate by finding world-class people.